seeing Instagram. You're seeing all the A's on the report card. You didn't see the sacrifices that was made. Remember when Sin told you that the price of success is sacrifice. You cannot escape sacrifice. From spirituality to carnality, sacrifice is a necessity. You're going to have to sacrifice. You want that bitch? Sacrifice. Want that mansion? Sacrifice. You want them cars? Sacrifice. You want that jewelry? Sacrifice. You want that clout? Sacrifice. You want that body? Sacrifice. Even in God, you want that anointing? Sacrifice. You want to preach like that? Sacrifice. You want to be knowledgeable like that? Sacrifice. Whatever life you live, you cannot escape sacrifice.
Good morning, sunshines. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, universe. Good morning, God. Good morning, Holy Spirit. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. I am here today. I do apologize. I was not here last weekend because I was away at a professional development / training / a wonderful experience for me. So yeah, I was growing my mind, growing my practice, becoming a more mindful leader. And it was great. So it's Saturday, it's early-ish. You know, I already been up a long time. I already had my apple and my coffee. Now I'm having my tea. And I'm ready to be here because I got stuff to do later on today. But the Eckhart. So listen, I told you I don't really know how to say the name. I don't think I know how to say the Eckhart's last name, Tolle. So I went to a quick Google search before I came live. The people don't know how to say it either. One video literally said Eckhart Tolle, and then the other one said Eckhart Tolle. So I'm gonna roll with the Tolle since I've been saying Tolle. So we are in the book, The Power of Now. A guide to spiritual enlightenment. This is a book by Eckhart Tolle. And we are currently on chapter 8 of, let's see how many chapters we have in this book. We have a total of 10. So if I go live tomorrow, that'll take us to chapter 9. And then next week, we'll finish this book and be on chapter 10. So I'm going to go right ahead and get started. I hope everybody is having a blessed day. I hope your week was blessed. If you are able to be here live and or tune in later, God bless you. You woke up. There is more work that you need to do while you are in this realm of the living. The message of sacrifice. One of the YouTubers that is no longer with us, Sinful the P, aka Philip Brandon Gilmore, aka Sinful the P. I listen to his messages still to this day. He was a very gifted orator. He had a beautiful mind. And he had, I think about the duality of life. Sinful was the embodiment of duality. Sinful was raised as a basically minister. He had the gift at a very early age, and he chose pimping. So he was a pimp that still had the word of God in him. That is duality. I often think about his passing. I often think about the messages that are still on YouTube, and I'm sure he has a ton more on Patreon. I just didn't join it. However, I will say this. I'm not here to judge people. That's not what I do. But Sinful was able to take his message into places and deliver his message to people who probably never would have heard a word like his. So for that alone, he was doing exactly what he was put here to do. Judgment is not for human beings to do, so I don't do that. Judgment is for the universe, it's for God, it's for a higher power. That's above my head and my human beingness. With that said, let's get started on chapter 8. Hey, y'all. Hey. Enlightened relationships. Enter the now from where you are. I always thought that true enlightenment is not possible except through love in a relationship between a man and a woman. Isn't this what makes us whole again? How can one's life be fulfilled until that happens? Is that true in your experience? Has this happened to you? Not yet, but how could it be otherwise? I know that it will happen. In other words, you are waiting for an event in time to save you. Is this not the core error that we have been talking about? Salvation is not elsewhere in place or time. It is here, it is now. It is not for the future. One of the things that resonates with me, and I probably will refer more to this about Sinful, about Philip, is Philip always talked about getting back to God, right? And he always would talk about it in the future sense instead of the now. The best time to do anything is now, because this is all you have. You are not promised tomorrow. You are not promised another second or another minute. Literally, all you have is the now. And in your nowness, in your being in this very present moment, what are you doing to be present and to give yourself to the higher being, to the higher power? You don't get to say, oh, well, let me do this first, and then I got you later, God. God is looking at you like, wait, what? Like, I already put this in your heart. I put this in your mind. I put this in your body. I put this in your spirit. You don't get to tell me when you come to me. I gave you the space and the grace to grow, to get to me. Now that I opened your, as Sinful the Pete would say, your Boston baked bean head ass eyes to another day, all you got is now, this moment. My prayer for Philip was that in that moment when he was getting ready to cross over, I pray that he was able to get back to God. That's not for me to judge. I don't know. Good morning, M. Renee. Good morning, Sunshine. Thank you for being here. Now is all you have, friends. That's it, loved ones. All you have is now. We don't get to control life as much as we think we can. You have no control over aging. If you are blessed, you will age. That's the goal. Be mindful of how you talk about old people. Because if goals are to age, you will one day be an old person or an older person. Just be mindful. Be mindful about your walking away from God, walking away from the higher being, and getting back. Especially, this is something that I truly believe. When you know better, it is your job to do better. You don't get to know better and decide, yeah, I don't get to do better. Your consciousness is awakened to better, to higher. You are held accountable for your higher consciousness. What does that statement mean? Salvation is here and now. I don't understand it. I don't even know what salvation means. Most people pursue physical pleasures or various forms of psychological gratification because they believe that those things will make them happy or free them from a feeling of fear or lack. Happiness may be perceived as a heightened sense of aliveness attained through physical pleasure, or a more secure and more complete sense of self attained through some form of psychological gratification. This is the search for salvation from a state of unsatisfactoriness or insufficiency. Invariably, any satisfaction that they obtain is short lived. So the condition of satisfaction or fulfillment is usually projected once again onto an imaginary point away from here and now. When I obtain this or am free of that, then I will be okay. This is the unconscious mindset that creates the illusion of salvation in the future. I'm going to play this clip again that I played at the beginning from Philip, from Sinful. Sacrifice. What are you sacrificing in this moment, in this now, to be your best self, to be what you know to be right, to be what you know you should be, to be what God has placed in your heart for you to be? What does that look like for you? Listen to this, y'all.
Instagram. You're seeing all the A's on the report card. You didn't see the sacrifices that was made. Remember when Sin told you that the price of success is sacrifice. You cannot escape sacrifice. From spirituality to carnality, sacrifice is a necessity. You're going to have to sacrifice. You want that bitch? Sacrifice. Want that mansion? Sacrifice. You want them cars? Sacrifice. You want that jewelry? Sacrifice. You want that clout? Sacrifice. You want that body? Sacrifice. Even in God, you want that anointing? Sacrifice. You want to preach like that? Sacrifice. You want to be knowledgeable like that? Sacrifice. Whatever life you live, you cannot escape sacrifice.
True salvation is fulfillment, peace, life, in all its fullness. It is to be who you are, to feel within you the good that has no opposite, the joy of being that depends on nothing outside itself. It is felt not as a passing experience, but as an abiding presence. In theistic language, it is to know God, not as something outside you, but as your own innermost essence. True salvation is to know yourself as an inseparable part of the timeless and formless one life, which all that exists derives its being. True salvation is a state of freedom from fear, from suffering, from a perceived state of lack and insufficiency, and therefore from all wanting, needing, grasping, and clinging. It is freedom from compulsive thinking, from negativity, and above all, from past and future as a psychological need. Your mind is telling you that you cannot get there from here. Something needs to happen, or you need to become this or that before you can be free and fulfilled. It is saying, in fact, that you need time, that you need to find, sort out, do, achieve, become, or understand something before you can be free or complete. You see time as the means to salvation, whereas in truth, it is the greatest obstacle to salvation. You think that you can't get there from where and who you are at this moment because you are not yet complete or good enough. But the truth is that here and now is the only point from where you can get there. Not when you get all your ducks in a row. Sacrifice those ducks in a row. Do it now. Now when you got enough money stacked and you can move. Do it now. Now when you finish your college degree and can get out the streets or out the club. Sacrifice and do it now. What are you willing to sacrifice to be in your now, to be in your present? There is a sacrifice to life, to be in your higher self, to be in your higher being. You got to sacrifice for whatever it is. If it's carnality or spirituality, whatever that is, sacrifice. You get there by realizing that you are there already. You find God the moment you realize that you don't need to seek God. So there is no only way to salvation. Any condition can be used, but no particular condition is needed. However, there is only one point of access. It is now. There can be no salvation away from this moment. You are lonely and without a partner. Enter the now from there. You are in a relationship. Enter the now from there. There is nothing you can ever do or attain that will get you closer to salvation than at this moment. Now, your sacrifice is now. This may be hard to grasp for a mind accustomed to thinking that everything worthwhile is in the future. Nor can anything that you ever did or that was done to you in the past prevent you from saying yes to what is and taking your attention deeply into the now. You cannot do this in the future. You do it now or not at all. That is why, for people who don't really care for Sinful the P, Philip Brandon Gilmore, and they judge his life based on his activities, that is not for you to do. Philip was saved. He was a man of God. He had the word in his heart. He understood it. He knew it. He preached it. He entered areas that a man of the cloth could never enter or get to. He got to people. He has over 92,000 subscribers on his channel, and it's still growing even after he is no longer with us in this realm of living. He was doing the will of God in his way, the way that God needed him to do it. It is not for us to say that at the moment that he crossed over, he was not saved again. Love-hate relationships. Unless and until you access the consciousness frequency of presence, all relationships, and particularly intimate relationships, are deeply flawed and ultimately dysfunctional. They may seem perfect for a while, such as when you are in love. Been there, done that, child. No, God. But invariably, that apparent perfection gets disrupted as arguments, conflicts, dissatisfaction, and emotional or even physical violence occur with increasing frequency. It seems the most love relationships become love-hate relationships before long. Love can then turn into savage attack, feelings of hostility, or complete withdrawal from affection at the flick of a switch. This is considered normal. The relationship then oscillates for a while, a few months or a few years, between the polarities of love and hate, and it gives you as much pleasure as it gives you pain. It is not uncommon for couples to become addicted to those cycles. Their drama makes them feel alive. When a balance between the positive, negative polarities is lost and the negative, destructive cycles occur with increasing frequency and intensity, which tends to happen sooner or later, it will not be long before the relationship finally collapses. Even if the relationship isn't physically violent, your relationship can be mentally violent and volatile. That is painful. That is death. Be mindful of that. Not to say that relationships don't struggle, not to say that they don't have the ups and the downs and the highs and the lows. But when the extremes are love, love, love turned into hate, 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 or you fight, 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 and then you make up, make up, make up, and it's the best making up. You know what I'm saying? It's the best making up that you ever had. You should be mindful of that. Why do you need such extremities to feel? The extremities of volatileness that leads to these feelings of loveness in the bedroom. The best of those loveness feelings in the bedroom. That's not healthy. It's not safe. I watch enough true crime to know that you don't necessarily know when too much is too much for the other person or for yourself, and it can push you over the edge. And then you can physically do things that you will later look back and say, I really didn't mean to do that. I really didn't mean to hurt them like that. But because the emotions are controlling you, you have out-of-body experiences that can last seconds or longer. Be mindful of that type of energy. You have the ability to control your energy. Do not let another human being control who you are. Do not give another human being the power over you to push your buttons. I don't care if they are your blood relatives. I don't care how much you love them. Love them enough to let them go. Love them enough to love them from a distance. I will share this, and this is something that I don't even think I've shared with my son about his dad, my ex-husband. I don't think I will ever love another man the way that I loved him. I can never be with him again, though. I am aware enough that our energy together is toxic. It's so toxic that in the marriage, in the relationship, I had behaviors that I look back at and I'm like, girl, you was tripping. I'm going to tell y'all one story. So this man used to be out at all hours of the night. One night, while my kids were probably not even 1 and 3, they're 2 years apart. So they had to be under 1 and under 3, closer to like 6 months maybe. And the 2-year-old, this man was not home at some dawn of the hour in the morning when I woke up and rolled over. He wasn't in the bed. Y'all, he had such a hold over my emotional beingness. And I was so unconscious at that time in my 30s. I packed my children up in a car and went looking for him in places that I thought he would be. No, God, young people, don't do that. Learn from your people who are still here that can share messages with you. Don't do that goofy shit. If that man ain't home with you, he don't want to be home with you. What you gonna do if you find him? Scream and holler? Let your emotions continue to escalate and do some things that you will one day regret? Say some things that you will one day regret? Say things that you can't take back? No. When you have or are with somebody that has that type of control over your energy, you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself. You need to figure out what it is, what is happening right now, that this human being has the ability to push my buttons like this. No. No man, no woman, nobody should be able to push you like that. It may appear that if you could only eliminate the negative or destructive cycles, then all would be well and the relationship would flower beautifully. But alas, this is not possible. The polarities are mutually interdependent. You cannot have one without the other. The positive already contains within itself the as yet unmanifested negative. Yep, that is the time to let go. When you feel yourself packing up your kids at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning while it's still pitch black outside and driving to spaces that you know might be unsafe, let it go, sis. Let it go, brother. It's just not that deep. There is nothing that you will do that will make that other human being change who they are. That is who they are. They ain't got to tell you who they are. They showing you who they are. When somebody shows you who they are, please believe them the first time. The positive already contains within itself the as yet unmanifested negative. Both are, in fact, different aspects of the same dysfunction. I am speaking here of what are commonly called romantic relationships, not of true love, which has no opposite because it arises from beyond the mind. Love as a continuous state is as yet very rare as conscious human beings. Brief and elusive glimpses of love, however, are possible whenever there is a gap in the stream of mind. It is, and Renee, because our humanness, our feelings, our emotions, especially depending on your emotional maturity level. Age does not make you mature. That is one thing that I'm learning. That is one thing that young people need to stop throwing out there. Well, because you are this big number, you should know better. That's not true. Intellectual, emotional, maturity, even physical. You can't say because somebody is a certain age, they should be able to lift X amount of pounds, or you know what I'm saying, or do these exercises. So if you don't attribute that to health, well-being, you can't attribute that to actions either. You can't attribute that to mental maturity either. Everybody in every aspect, spirituality, emotional, physical, psychological, all of us are on different areas in all of those areas. Stop saying somebody should be where they should be because they are this age. It could be a 15-year-old that has more emotional maturity than a 50-year-old, than a 35-year-old organized chaos. Like, that is just the reality of life. There are areas that we all need to work on and to grow in. And it is easier said than done. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't continue saying it, preaching it, teaching it, and finding ways to do it and move through it. Until you don't have breath left in you, it is our job, it is our duty as consciousness to speak our truth, to speak our lessons, to share, so that if it's just one soul that we can save, if it's one young man, one young lady that can get out of dysfunction, that is one being that has grown just because of sharing and awareness and caring. That's it, and that's all. Closed mouths don't get fed. If I'm quiet about my experiences, about my journey, about my life, I can't help my kids. I can't help the future. I can't help the version of me that will exist 100, 500, 1,000 years from now if I don't put paint where it ain't. The negative side of a relationship is, of course, more easily recognizable as dysfunctional than the positive one. And it is also easier to recognize the source of negativity in your partner than to see it in yourself. It can manifest in many forms: possessiveness, jealousy, control, withdrawal, and unspoken resentment, the need to be right, insensitivity, and self-absorption, I can't say absorption, and self-absorption, emotional demands, and manipulation. The urge to argue, criticize, judge, blame, attack, to be angry, unconscious revenge for past pain inflicted by a parent. I'm going to insert my own thought here. Inflicted by a sibling. Rage and physical violence. On the positive side, you are in love with your partner. This is at first a deeply satisfying state. You feel intensely alive. Your existence has suddenly become meaningful because someone needs you, wants you, and makes you feel special. And you do the same for him or her. When you are together, you feel whole. The feeling can become so intense that the rest of the world fades into insignificance. That's not healthy, y'all. That's not healthy. However, you may also have noticed that there is a neediness and a clingy quality to that intensity. You become addicted to the other person. He or she acts on you like a drug. You are on a high when the drug is available. But even the possibility or the thought that he or she might no longer be there for you can lead to jealousy, possessiveness, attempts at manipulation through emotional blackmail, blaming and accusing, fear of loss. If the other person does leave you, this can give rise to the most intense hostility or the most profound grief and despair. I'll be watching them episodes of Snapped. Y'all, it just is not worth it. There should be, I'm going to share this with y'all. I got to put a pen right here. One of the reasons that I clipped that message from Philip was because there should be nothing, physical, mental, spiritual, nothing that you are not willing to sacrifice to get to God, to get to your best self, to get to the higher power, whatever you call it. There should be nothing that you are not willing to sacrifice. That man makes you go crazy. Sacrifice. You text him all day, sacrifice texting him. See if he texts you first. He hasn't responded to your messages and you've sent 5 in a row. Sacrifice. Stop texting him. Stop calling him. Sacrifice. Sacrifice your need for that emotional release. You not in good health. The doctor told you to stop eating certain things, but you just gonna do it. Like it's not gonna hurt me that bad. You're not willing to sacrifice for your own self, for your own health, for your own wealth. What are you sacrificing to get to the best version of yourself that you can be emotionally, physically, financially? What are you? I had to look at my finances. And I started small. I started with things that you probably would be like, girl, that ain't nothing but like $20 you saving or $50 or $100 or it doesn't matter. I have a bigger goal that I'm trying to get to. But in the now, what was I willing to sacrifice? I was willing to sacrifice Netflix and I was willing to sacrifice, what's the other one that I was paying for? Sirius Radio. There's something else I can do. It started small. Is it going to get bigger? It is. But I had to start somewhere. I got some goals that I'm trying to meet before the end of 2023. And I got some sacrifices that I know I got to make. And it's early enough in the year that I'm conscious, I am in the now, and I'm willing to focus. I lost a lot of weight last year. I've gained some of it back, not all of it. But I got to sacrifice again. Like, girl, get yourself, you're not going back to where you was. Sacrifice. Get that off. Now, get it off. And I'm very aware of why. Like, I've been working from home for like 3 years. Now I'm around other human beings who like to leave snacks in the snack room. No, God. Sacrifice. What are you willing to sacrifice for your now, for your present? Sacrifice. In an instant, loving tenderness can turn into a savage attack or dreadful grief. Where is the love now? Can love change into its opposite in an instant? Was it love in the first place, or just an addictive grasping and clinging? Addiction and the search for wholeness. Why should we become addicted to another person? We shouldn't. The reason why the romantic love relationship is such an intense and universally sought after experience is that it seems to offer liberation from a deep-seated state of fear, need, lack, and incompleteness that is part of the human condition in its unredeemed and unenlightened state. There is a physical as well as a psychological dimension to this state. Yes, the greater good. Sacrifice. Do you know how many of us are not willing to sacrifice food, to sacrifice television, to sacrifice sleep if needed, but you do need sleep, to sacrifice toxic relationships because, well, that's my family. I have to stay in their life. No, you don't. No, you don't. You can love people from a distance. I'm really good at that. Sometimes I'm so good at that, I get like, it's not that I'm afraid of myself because of it. I do wonder, like, why? When I see so many other people caught up in the need to keep these close relationships with people that do or mean them no harm overall emotionally, I understand. If I don't take care of me, nobody else will. Child, yes, sacrificing social media. I had to sacrifice being on YouTube when I started my new job. I had to, like, what you gonna do? You can't do both, girl. It's too much. If you do both, you really gonna be mentally wore out. I was wore out mentally until Christmas break, winter break. My job is highly stressful. I love every second of it. But when I tell you the stress of it is something that nobody prepared me for, nobody told me, like, okay, you're going to have to do this, and not, you used to just doing this. Now you got to do all of this and this. And not just for the kids in your classroom. Now you got to worry about the kids in the whole school, and you got to worry about the grown-ups in the school, and you got to worry about the community, and you got to worry about the parents. Excuse me. What? I don't think I get paid enough for all of that. Like, oh my God. Like, y'all, sacrifice. What are you willing to sacrifice? I knew I was on a mission. I'm going to tell you another thing I sacrificed. I knew I was on a mission this year because I got some things I need to do before the end of the year. I love my StreamYard the way that it was, with the pretty little thing in the corner without the duck that let everybody know this is the free version of StreamYard. And I had a really good deal. I could have renewed it for under $100 for a whole year. Sacrifice. I had to sacrifice. And that duck got to be in his corner this year because I got some things to do. And I can, it's not that I can't afford it. I can afford to pay for it. Sacrifice. Just because you can do a thing does not mean that you need to do a thing. What are you showing yourself? What are you showing the universe that you are willing to sacrifice to get to and through? Sacrifice. Child, yeah, and Renee, that I didn't, child, and I negotiated my pay. Yeah. They don't they trick, they bait and switch. It was a bait and switch. I gotta do what? No, God. I walk around work all day saying that. I know they be like, what is wrong with? No, God. I be no God. I be like, Jesus. When something pop off, popcorn. That's my word at work too. What's popping today? Because I not like the only thing that I know is that whatever this day was that I just had at work, it will not mirror tomorrow. It does not look like yesterday. If I never understood being in the now, my job currently busts me in the face with it every day. It'd be like, girl, everything you thought you was going to do today, that's not what you're going to do. Because right now, this is what you need to do in this present moment. And I thank the universe for every experience that led me to this place. I was prepared for this. I was shaped for this exact experience, y'all. It is like you look at you, like sometimes I wake up and look around like, is this, they picked me. They did. And I feel like I'm not perfect. I might not be doing everything the way I'm supposed to do it, but I'm doing it, right? I'm doing the things because nowness. You cannot do certain jobs if you are not present. You just can't. But you're not coming on every day now, so why pay that much? Exactly. And Renee, that was part of the sacrifice. I'm not paying for that. I got other things to do with that. And those little things add up. That savings, I got rid of my I had to get something new that contained the antivirus package. And then Norton, child, if you install Norton on your stuff, Norton don't want to leave you. I had to Google how to get rid of Norton. Child, they tried to give me Norton. Listen, my Norton antivirus, it renewed for like 100 and I don't want to lie on Norton. I feel like it was like 115, 116. I was like, nope, I don't need you. I got something new. And the antivirus is included. And the money didn't, I'm still paying the same money, right? Norton is like, so mind you, it was going to renew for 116. Norton hit your girl up and is like, girl, we'll give it to you for 40 for the year. I was like, no, I don't. No is a complete answer. Same thing. Listen, Sirius Radio, my Sirius Radio, let me tell y'all a trick with Sirius. If y'all paying for Sirius and y'all paying the regular rate of $20-some a month, call them to cancel. And I bet you they promise you where they lower your rate to somewhere like $7 a month. And every year that your Sirius is about to renew, if you call them, they will keep renewing you yearly for the same price, that same lower price. But if you let it automatically renew it, you got to call in to do it. Or I think you can chat online now too. But you got to make that connection. They going to renew you for the higher rate. Now, let me tell you who don't care about you renewing. Because when I renewed with them, they didn't care. They was like, bye. Netflix don't care. Netflix was like, all right, we'll see you later. We know you're going to come back. But one thing about like Netflix and all of these monthly subscriptions, if it's something that's coming out that you want to watch that month, just get it for the month and then immediately cancel so it don't renew the next month. Like, it's tricks to the game if you wake up your consciousness and you are accountable and you are organized and you can put stuff in the cap. That is part of my organized chaos, y'all. I'm trying to tell you, the organization of it all is what I'm really good at. So if something come out on Netflix that I feel like I need to watch, if somebody can't, because they're trying to watch who monitors and logs in the codes, I can just pay whatever that monthly rate is. They got one with commercials for like $7 a month. And then I can stop it again after I watch that show. Because I don't watch TV like that. Good morning, Foxy and family. Good morning, sunshine. Glad you made it to work safely. All right, let me get back into this book, y'all. Right, Renee. Norton does not want to leave you. They want to stick around. I didn't know about that Sirius. I already canceled the start. You can get Renee. If you want Sirius for like $7 a month, they will give it to you if you call them. But you got to call or chat. They'll give it to, it's like I want to say like $7.27 with tax. They will. Sirius to do it, Norton to do it. And listen, even when you cancel Norton, the stuff stays on your computer. I had to Google how to I uninstalled it, but they still was popping. It will still pop up. No, God, get out of my life, Norton. I don't need you no more. I got a new friend that's included with my Wi-Fi service now. We're good over here. Norton is like, no, we still want to be with you. We found a back door. Like they got a ghost app in your system or something. No, it's a complete answer. All right, back into the book. On the physical level, you are obviously not whole, nor will you ever be. You are either a man or a woman, which is to say one half of the whole. On this level, the longing for wholeness, the return to oneness, manifests as male-female attraction, man's need for a woman, woman's need for a man. It is polarity. The root of this physical urge is a spiritual one. The longing for an end to duality, a return to the state of wholeness. Sexual union is the closest you can get to this state on the physical level. This is why it is the most deeply satisfying experience the physical realm can offer. Facts. 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 Don't get it twisted. Facts. But sexual union is no more than a fleeting glimpse of wholeness, an instant of bliss, as long as it is unconsciously sought as a means of salvation. You are seeking the end of duality on the level of form where it cannot be found. You are given a tantalizing glimpse of heaven, but you are not allowed to dwell there and find yourself again in a separate body. You know it's facts, and Renee. Don't get it twisted. I can't lie. I ain't gonna talk about it. I ain't gonna go into no details, but I have lived. I got stories to tell. On the psychological level, the sense of lack and incompleteness is, if anything, even greater than on the physical level. Why you think I packed my kids up and drove around looking for him in the wee hours of the morning? Facts. Facts. Okay, stop. As long as you are identified with the mind, you have an extremely derived sense of self. That is to say, you get your sense of who you are from things that ultimately have nothing to do with who you are. Your social role, possessions, external appearance, successes and failures, belief systems, and so on. This false mind-made self, the ego, feels vulnerable, insecure, and is always seeking new things to identify with to give it a feeling that it exists. Yes, Foxy knows the stories, all of them. Child, please stop. But nothing is ever enough to give it lasting fulfillment. If Its fear remains. Its sense of lack and neediness remains. But then that special relationship comes along. It seems to be the answer to all the ego's problems and to meet all its needs. Stop it. Another human being is not the answer to your problems. You are. I didn't even read no more yet. I'm going to finish reading. I put my finger there. But I'm trying to told y'all. I'm trying to told you. Stop. Stop looking for your wholeness in another human being. It is within you. It is there. Sacrifice. Find it. Do the work on yourself. Read. Get knowledge. Get wisdom. Get enlightenment. Find it. Find what you need within you. You are whole. You are complete the way that you are. Grow from there, not because of another human being. At least this is how it happens at first. All the other things that you derived your sense of self from before now became relatively insignificant. You now have a single focal point that replaces them all, that gives meaning to your life, and through which you define your identity, the person you are in love with. You are no longer a disconnected fragment in an uncaring universe, or so it seems. Your world now has a center, the loved one. That's how you get stalker behavior. The fact that the center is outside you and that therefore you still have an externally derived sense of self does not seem to matter at first. What matters is that the underlying feelings of incompleteness, of fear, lack, and unfulfillment, so characteristic of the egoic state, are no longer there. Or are they? Have they dissolved? Or do they continue to exist underneath the happy surface reality? Women of a certain age topics. That's what people need to learn. If in your relationships you experience both love and the opposite of love, attack, emotional violence, and so on, guilty. 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 Then it is likely that you are confusing ego attachment and addictive clinging with love. Sacrifice. That's not love. You cannot love your partner one moment and attack him or her the next. That's not love. True love has no opposite. If your love has an opposite, then it is not love, but a strong ego need for a more complete and deeper sense of self. A need that the other person temporarily meets. It is the ego's substitute for salvation. And for a short time, it almost does feel like salvation. Two people taught me love. My kids. Child. Raising human beings, being conscious of your nowness, having been in relationships full of toxicity, seeing reflections of yourself in other or another human being that you helped bring into this universe, all those things taught me love. And love is unconditional. Love is not determinant on what another person does. It is unconditional. My kids doing a thing does not mean that I love them more or less. Them doing what I want them to do, like cleaning up the fucking house, taking out the fucking garbage, washing your own dishes. The lack of those things does not stop my love for my kids. They taught me love. Wanting my son to get his ass home before the sun comes up as he transitions into a grown, what we call man because of the number 18, does not stop my love. They have taught me to love them despite some things that I might not get, that my humanness wants, that my ego wants, that as a mom, I've asked you to do this. And if you don't do it, then what? Because we know if it was another man we were in a relationship with, or a woman we were in a relationship with, we would have like this line. And if you don't do what I asked you to do, then I don't know, I'm going to take my love, or I'm going to have an attitude, or I'm going to do this. My kids, I don't do that with my kids. And when I find myself doing that, I apologize to my kids. My son sent me a text message one day when he was in the home when I woke up. And y'all know sometimes I wake up at 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. He wasn't here one of them times. And he mentioned that we were making each other miserable. His goal was to move out as soon as possible. And don't get it twisted. Bye. Don't get it twisted. That's not going to make me sad. But what made me sad and what made me reflect was when he said we were making each other miserable. And I thought about that. And I let him know, you don't make me miserable. And I apologize for making you miserable. And I'm going to do better. I will lead differently. Because as a leader, as the leader of this household, there is no man to lead this household. This is a mommy-led household. I can't be a daddy. I am not one of them women that be out here like, oh, happy Father's Day to all the women. No, God, I am a woman. I am not a father. I am a female. I birthed 2 children. That's it. That's all. All I can be is who I am. That is mommy. I don't have a man's mentality. I don't have their perspective. I can have empathy for things that they go through, but I ain't trying to be a man. Not, never, not at all. Don't happy Father's Day this woman. No, God. But what I can do is listen. I listen to my kids. I am empathetic to their needs. I want them to be productive humans in this world, in this realm. I want to leave them with nuggets of information and insightfulness and thoughtfulness about how to be good humans. That's what I want to give them. That is the gift that I hope to give them. The gift of being at peace, the gift of forgiveness, the gift of introspection and reflection, the gift of forgiveness, and the ability that when they become parents, they can apologize to their children too, because their mom apologizes to them. And y'all, I didn't grow up like that. Just because you didn't grow up a certain way doesn't mean you can't change who and what you think about parenting and about life and about space and about grace. I grew up with a heavy hand, a switch, being quiet if you was a kid, not having opinions about much of nothing. That's how I grew up. That's why I'm nosy as fuck. That's why I'm curious. I question every fucking thing. I question life in general. I've learned that I won't always get answers to those questions, but I'm not afraid to ask questions. It's okay. That is what I hope to give to my children. I hope that they are allowed to make mistakes in the future, and they are allowed to reflect on those mistakes and forgive themselves and others. Girl, yes, bye. He can go. I ain't gonna be sad about that. Not not a second of a minute of it. I will help my baby on the other side of this door, but he can get out. I'm getting out. That's the goal. That's why I gotta be mindful this year. I got goals. I'm trying to move. I'm trying to have a water view like beautiful Shalom. Good morning, sunshine. Well, hey, ma'am, I'm glad you checked for me and I was here for you. I've been on for like an hour, so you know I ain't gonna be on much longer, but I am gonna come back tomorrow because I don't think I'm gonna finish this chapter today. It's a long one. And you know how I am. I get caught off and I start, wandering down different avenues of the universe of life. hmm Y'all see my POC shirt for the day? Yes. Only God can judge me. That's it. That's all. All right, let's go back into this book. Focus. But there comes a point when your partner believes in ways that fail to meet your needs, or rather, those of your ego. The feelings of fear, pain, and lack that are an intrinsic part of egoic consciousness, but have been covered up by the love relationship. Child, it was covered up by good sex and fornication. Facts. That stuff that you kind of swept over, it's going to resurface because the stuff in the bedroom don't last forever. Just as with every other addiction, sex, you are on a high when the drug is available. Sex. But invariably, there comes a time when the drug no longer works for you. You done got enough of it. Men do the same thing. Men love a beautiful woman, a beautiful young girl. And then that man he courts her. He does all of the things. He gets with her. And then he might propose to her, make her his main girl, his wife. And then 5 years, 20 years, they done seen each other. They done woke up with funky breath. And he done walked in after she done pooped, and he like, how could such a beautiful flower smell so terribly? She done farted in the bed a couple of times and rolled over and pushed the child out, and he just looking at her like, girl, you was just a regular old girl now, and it's a younger version of you that exists. I want her. Ask Halle Berry. Ask Beyonce. Ask all the beautiful women who have been cheated on. Don't get it twisted, young people. Your looks will fade. Your newness will wear off, just like any new car. The new car scent is not going to stay forever. It ain't but so many things you can do with that WAP. Same thing for men. Don't get it twisted. Women cheat on men too for the same reasons. Your breath is funky. You keep the toilet seat up. You ain't doing gymnastics with the peen in the bed no more. You don't like to go downtown no more. It ain't the same. You've been doing the same thing the same way all our lives. I'm as tired. I need a young thing. I'm a cougar now. Give me some young blood. All of the things fade away. That addiction, the drug ain't the same no more. The sex don't hit the same. Seeing your pretty ass ain't the same. You done gained 10 or 15 or 20 or 30, 40 pounds. It ain't the same. When those painful feelings reappear, you feel them even more strongly than before. And what is more, you now perceive your partner as the cause of those feelings. This means that you project them outward and attack the other with all the savage violence that is part of your pain. This attack may awaken the partner's own pain, and he or she may counter your attack. At this point, the ego is still unconsciously hoping that its attack or its attempts at manipulation will be sufficient punishment to induce your partner to change their behavior so that it can use them again as a cover-up for your pain. All right, let me get into the chat. What time do I start? Well, today, what time is it now? It is 7:48 this morning. I have been on for an hour, so it's that 6:48-ish is when I started, 6:45-ish. It just depends on the weekend. I don't set my alarm, but my body clock still wakes me up out of the bed at like my alarm clock goes off at 3:30 on the weekday. So my internal alarm is still somewhere in that realm. Even when I don't set the alarm, I still wake up. But I don't wake up and come on live on the weekends. I still eat my apple. I meditate. I have my coffee. I think about my day. And I'm like, okay, do I feel like, and I ask myself before, like I give myself permission now. Honestly, the way that I think about life right now and the way that I move forward is I have to, or the universe has to give me permission to do anything that I do now. I don't just do anymore. I don't just have a thought and go. And I asked the universe, do you need me to go live today? I'm in a good space. The energy is right. And the universe will let me know, like, we ain't feeling it today. Or, yeah, girl, you got space. Your mental space is okay. Go. Share some knowledge. That's what I'm here to do now. I'm just sharing knowledge on my channel. I'm not in a competition to get likes and views and clicks or any of that. I am creating a space to share knowledge, to share wisdom, to grow as human beings. All right, everybody is saying good morning. I'm trying to consciously love my husband and all others from a spiritual space. Don't try, do. It's not a try. Just do it. Just be. If you give yourself the space to be, you're doing it. Kay! Hey, boo. Kingdom Images Dance Studio. KIDZ. Good morning, sunshine. Y'all, this is one of my former students from back in the day when I had my very first dance studio. Hey, boo, hey. Y'all don't know nothing about my first dance studio. Well, yes, you do. If you've been here for a minute, I did share it with you guys. Anyway, hey, boo. Listen to an interview with Lauren London that made me do a self-assessment about if I was loving selfishly. Loved ones included. Yep. I don't know what that was for. Blessings Kingdom. Always bringing a word. All right. Love the energy over here. Thank you, beautiful Shalom. I love the energy over there. We're going to go live together one day. You just let me know when you're ready. I don't know if we should do it on my channel or yours, though. You let me know. We can do it over here or over there. Either one is good. I am a product of your greatness. Aw, thank you, boo. I love you. Real life testimony, y'all. I ain't always been the best version of this me either. When I had you back in the day, I was a whole mess out here. I was still in my early 20s. I was still learning about life. I was moving very unconsciously in the world. But I was the best version that I could be at that moment. I'm going to tell y'all this. I'm going to share this with you. So I had to mark the page I was on. So last weekend I was at a training. This training, let me tell you something. One thing that they don't tell you about being an educator in the K-12 system, if you are depending on who you are and the things that you've been through, me being an educator in the K-12 system, this is my third career. One of my second careers, because when I had Kingdom Images, that was my second career, owning a dance studio. Before that, I worked in insurance. That time, I could only be who I was. If I would have became a mom when I was in my 20s, I could have only been the version of myself that I was. Last weekend, the training that I went to, it was more therapeutic than what you would consider a K-12 professional development. It was literally therapy for the people that were in attendance, that were so blessed to be a part of this cohort that I'm now in, right? Some of the things that came out of these many type of therapy sessions was the awareness with the stories that people shared. Forgiveness is for you. Forgiveness is not for the other person. And you can only hold people accountable for who they are. If you grew up in a violent home and you have made a conscious decision that you will not have physical violence be a part of who you are as a human being right now, today, and you are not going to inflict that because you want to break that cycle with your kids, it doesn't mean that you can't forgive the parents that created you. If all they knew was physical violence and they never did work to break a cycle that they probably grew up in, that their parents probably grew up in, like, you don't sometimes even know how long these generational cycles happen. If they didn't do the work to grow beyond that, it's okay to forgive them and to love them in spite of. I don't know if I share a lot about my upbringing. I don't know that I do that. But I will say, my daddy is a great, great, wonderful grandfather. He just wasn't the best present father, but he was the best father he could be. I didn't hold any of that against him. I don't know if it was conscious, unconscious, or what. I knew at a very early age that he was who he was. It was all he could be. He couldn't be something that he wasn't. He couldn't be a man that I needed him to be, but he was what he was. He was my daddy, and I loved him in spite of. Really be mindful, y'all, as y'all grow up and mature. And whenever you hear this message, if it's now or in the future, whether I'm here or no longer here, be mindful, be forgiving, find growth opportunities in others' humanness. I didn't always think I was being selfish because my intentions were good for them. We're selfish beings, though. Like, literally, that is a makeup of our humanness. And that is why being conscious and aware is really, really important, because you can see your selfish needs immediately and remove that id from the equation and move differently and think differently and give people space. I am right now in a situation with a family member that I love, like, with every ounce of who I am. But we are not in a space where communication is good right now, where having a conversation is going to turn out good. And at those points, it's okay to love from a distance. It doesn't mean that you don't love because you ain't up in somebody's face or calling them every day. Pray for people. Put that positive energy out there for your loved ones, and learn to love from a distance and forgive. Forgive quicker. Quickly forgive. Don't hold on to grudges. They make you old. They turn these bags baggier. They make these lines that's going to come anyway come faster. The creases will come quicker when you hold on to hurt and pain. Embrace it. Don't get over it. Get through it. Stop getting over stuff. We like to say, oh, I'm past that. No, Nick, I'm not past none of that shit. I'm still going through it. My emotions are still involved. So I need to pull myself back. I need to get my mind right. And I need to be okay with who I am. And I need to protect my energy. That is one piece of advice I give my son every time he leaves me, because he is highly energetic about his wants and needs. And I'm like, dude, I kiss him on his forehead and I tell him, protect your peace. If I leave this earth now, that is something that he will remember forever. My mama wants me to protect my peace. What are you leaving your kids with? What are you leaving future generations with? What cycles are you intentionally breaking? What bad habits are you willing to sacrifice? I'm going to play this message again for y'all, because y'all might not have been here at the very beginning. Y'all might not have been here, and you might not be here at the end, because, you click on, you click off. Let me play this message. Don't worry about the messenger. Listen to the message.
Instagram. You're seeing all the A's on the report card. You didn't see the sacrifices that was made. Remember when Sin told you that the price of success is sacrifice. You cannot escape sacrifice. From spirituality to carnality, sacrifice is a necessity. You're going to have to sacrifice. You want that bitch? Sacrifice. Want that mansion? Sacrifice. You want them cars? Sacrifice. You want that jewelry? Sacrifice. You want that clout? Sacrifice. You want that body? Sacrifice. Even in God, you want that anointing? Sacrifice. You want to preach like that? Sacrifice. You want to be knowledgeable like that? Sacrifice. Whatever life you live, you cannot escape sacrifice.
That's it. That's all. Oh, when we go live, we're going to be on for hours. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. Just let me know when. All right. Thank you. Thank you for being here, beautiful Shalom. That's a t-shirt. Don't get past it. Get through it. Yeah, because when you bypass stuff, guess what? Them obstacles is going to come back at you. And when it come back at you, if you haven't learned from the experience, you're going to fold and fall. Stop getting past stuff. The way to grow is to go ahead through the fire. You can't have diamonds without fire. You can't have knowledge without wisdom, without reading, without sacrificing, without studying. There is nothing that you get to have without the sacrifice and the getting through it. What are you doing to show that this is what you really want? That this is what is going to make going around it? If you've lived long enough, you already know life is a 360, baby. Ain't nothing new under this sun. There is nothing new. There is no new great blade of grass. There is no new nothing. It is all repetitive. Life is repetition. From ancient times to future times. I teach history. I know enough to know wars will continue. People are power hungry. Things will come back. Read your books. Read about it. Grow yourself, because it is all going to come back to you. And when it comes back around, what are you doing differently? What are you doing? What are you doing? Every addiction arises from an unconscious refusal to face and move through your own pain. Every addiction starts with pain and ends with pain. Whatever the substance you are addicted to, alcohol, food, legal, illegal drugs, a person, you are using something or somebody to cover up your pain. That is why after the initial euphoria has passed, there is so much unhappiness, so much pain in intimate relationships. They do not cause pain and unhappiness. They bring out the pain and unhappiness that is already in you. Every addiction does that. Every addiction reaches a point where it does not work for you anymore. And then you feel the pain more intensely than ever. Because guess what? You didn't get through it. You covered it up. You found another human being that could give you some release, but you didn't grow. You didn't find a new way to deal. You just found an escape or an outlet. That is what drugs do. That is what addiction does. Because you haven't learned to sacrifice. You haven't gotten through. To get through hard shit, it takes sacrifice. For me to apologize to my children, I had to sacrifice my ego. I had to sacrifice my I'm the momness. I had to sacrifice the way that I grew up and the things that I was taught. sacrifice. This is one reason why most people are always trying to escape from the present moment and are seeking some kind of salvation in the future. The first thing that they might encounter if they focus their attention on the now is their own pain. And this is what they fear. If they only knew how easy it is to access in the now the power of presence that dissolves the past and its pain, the reality that dissolves the illusion. If they only knew how close they are to their own reality, how close they are to God. Avoidance of relationships is an attempt to avoid pain. That's not the answer either. The pain is still there. That's what I keep talking about. Don't get past it. Get through it. Absorb the pain. Learn from that pain. Grow from that pain. Use that pain. Clink up. Your armor is now stronger because of the pain. That pain does not make you weaker. That pain makes you a beast. Three failed relationships in as many years are more likely to force you into awakening than 3 years on a desert island or shut away in your room. But if you could bring intense presence into your aloneness, that will work for you too. Just because you are alone, just because you are by yourself, whether permanently, temporarily, whatever it is, all we know that it is now. And in your nowness, that is where you get to do your work. Here, today, not tomorrow, not in the future. Doesn't mean you can't have future plans, but your work starts now. All right, I'm going to read these comments and then I'm going to make this. Let me see. Let's do 2 more sections and we'll be halfway through this chapter, child. This is a long chapter. It is. Chapter 8 is pretty long. So I'll read 2 more sections, maybe 3, because this is long. Let me see. 3 is going to take us over. Just 2. I'm looking at the number of pages. Just 2 more sections, and then I will save the rest of it for tomorrow. What time tomorrow? Chile. We don't put the universe on a time schedule on the weekends. Chile. No, God, not over here. Because guess what? The universe makes us be on a time schedule Monday through Friday. Because this is the world we live in. The universe told this girl, on the weekends, you get to sleep in. But maybe not. On the weekends, you get to move freely. Not freely, but freely. That's a word. Freely. Because guess what? We really not free. We are all in the matrix. Every single one of us. Shh, don't tell nobody. It's a secret. But we are. This whole world is a matrix. Be aware and be mindful, y'all. All right, Foxy says, I'm ready for it. You want to talk about Memphis? Let's do it. Women of a certain age special. We can do that. Beautiful Shalom. You want to come on with me and Foxy one day? The envy, the winning or reaping season, but didn't see the sowing season. Yep. Thank God I don't look like what I child. I thank God every day. And now that I had to do some reflection about my whole 50 years because of an incident with a family member. I think back at how God saved my stupid ass from my stupid ass. I'm going to say that again in case y'all didn't hear me. God has saved my stupid ass from my stupid ass. I have been stupid and foolish. I have done things that I didn't necessarily have to come back from. I have put myself, me as a human, I have put myself in goofy ass situations that could have ended terribly, that I have seen other people not make it through. And when I look back at where I've been through, I'm like, that was nothing but the grace of God. Because I could have been as sinful, the P would say, out of there. I could have been out of here. But God. But God. That is the only reason that I am still here at 50 years old. But God. And I'm going to say this. One thing that's interesting to me as humans, we always say that, God woke you up. Everything that happens on this planet, on this earth, in this universe, it's all God. So even if you didn't make it through, even if God didn't wake you up, that is still God. God is in everything. Our conscious minds like to think that God is only in the good things. God is omnipresent. God is everywhere. God is consciousness. God is. What the Bible say? I am that I am. Not I was, not in the past. Everything is happening exactly. The good, the bad, the ugly. It's all God's will. Get that when you get home or later. All right, let's get back into this book. We're going to do 2 more sections and then I'm going to say the rest of chapter 8 for tomorrow. I need to look at 9 and 10. I might be able to get 9 and 10 done next weekend. We'll see. And then Foxy and Beautiful. We need to figure out when we're going to do women of a certain age. I think that would be good. All right. I'm going to put my email in here, Beautiful, so you can email me. I'm on IG too, but I really don't use IG very often. Email me. Emailing me is better. It's just organized chaos. That's my email. Shoot me an email, Beautiful, and we'll put something together. Some good times, okay? All right. From addictive. Oh, wait. Yes, ma'am. I love to. I think as women moving towards a certain mindset in life, sharing, supporting, and learning through real ass combos is necessary. Absolutely. There's my email address, organizedchaos@gmail.com. From addictive to enlightened relationships. Can we change an addictive relationship into a true one? Yes. Being present and intensifying your presence by taking your attention ever more deeply into the now. Whether you are living alone or with a partner, this remains the key. For love to flourish, the light of your presence needs to be strong enough so that you no longer get taken over by the thinker or the pain body and mistake them for who you are. To know yourself as the being underneath the thinker, the stillness underneath the mental noise, the love and joy underneath the pain is freedom, salvation, enlightenment. To disidentify from the pain body is to bring presence into the pain and thus transmute it. To disidentify from thinking is to be the silent watcher of your thoughts and behavior, especially the repetitive patterns of your mind and the roles played by the ego. If you stop investing it with selfness, the mind loses its compulsive quality, which basically is the compulsion to judge. Guilty. We is all guilty. But if you are mindful and if you are aware of living consciously and being in the now, you are doing the work to be judged less. Not that you will be judged less, but that you will judge less. There is no behavior. Let me say this, because I don't ever want to get it confused that perfection is a thing. That's bullshit. There is no perfection. Even if you walk in a straight narrow path and you do all the right things, you will have a wrong thought. You will have a wrong reaction. You will have a wrong action because you're a human being and you are flawed. Every single human being is flawed. There is no perfect human being. I'm sorry. Even your favorite pastor is a mess. Because they're a human being. We're all a mess. Accept that. Once you accept that, you will judge less. I promise you. If you understand that everybody is fucked up, you will judge less. Because you will then see yourself in other human beings. You can't put yourself in other people's shoes necessarily, but you will see your consciousness. You will see humanity. You will have empathy. You will judge less. If you stop investing in the selfness, the mind loses its compulsive quality, which basically is the compulsion to judge and so to resist what is, which creates conflict, drama, and new pain. In fact, the moment that judgment stops through acceptance of what is, you are free of the mind. You have made room for love, for joy, for peace. Y'all, protect your peace at all costs. Protect your peace. That woman in the house pushing you over the edge, protect your peace. That man that you've loved for 10, 15, 20 years, getting on your last nerve, protect your peace. The people at your job talking to you out the side of their neck, protect your peace. Your kids out here doing all kind of goofy things, protect your peace. First, you stop judging yourself. Then you stop judging your partner. The greatest catalyst for change in a relationship is complete acceptance of your partner as he or she is, without needing to judge or change them in any way. That immediately takes you beyond ego. That is how you can apologize to your children. That is how you can break cycles. You can break chains. That is how you learn to love unconditionally. That is how you lead from a place of love. All mind games and all addictive clinging are then over. There are no victims and no perpetrators anymore. No accuser and accused. If you are around somebody that continues to bring up your past, to make that who you are today, that is abuse. If you are in any relationship, familial, marital, external, at work, anybody that wants to hold you hostage to your past self is being abusive. Protect your peace. Protect your peace. You are not your past. Your past made you who you are. Your past grew you. Your past gave you some tools to get you to where you are now. Now is all you have. Now is it. Today is it. Being present is it. You are not hostage to who you were. You have the opportunity to think differently, to move differently, to be differently, and to grow. Don't let somebody hold you hostage to your past version of yourself. You are not that version anymore. I am not who I was yesterday. How dare you? I made a mistake yesterday. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. I will grow from that mistake and I will do better. It will make me a better leader. It will make me a better person. It will make me a better mother. It will make me a better human being. But what you will not do is use yesterday's mistake to tell me who I am today. I needed to make that mistake. I needed to see the error in my thinking. I needed to see the error in my ways so that I could grow beyond that version of myself. This is also the end of all codependency, of being drawn into somebody else's unconscious pattern and thereby enabling it to continue. You will then either separate in love or move ever more deeply into the now together, into being. Can it be that simple? Yes, it is that simple. Beautiful Shalom, I hope that is where you and your husband are going together. Don't give up. Love is a state of being. Your love is not outside. It is deep within you. You can never lose it. And it cannot leave you. That is why I am able to admit I still love my ex-husband. I am aware consciously, though, that our energy is toxic together. But there was love there. You couldn't have asked me that 5 years ago. I'd have been like, fuck that, you never know. No, God, not him. Lying to yourself. It is not dependent on some other body, some external form. In the stillness of your presence, you can feel your own formless and timeless reality as the unmanifested life that animates your physical form. You can then feel the same life deep within every other human and every other creature. You look beyond the veil of form and separation. This is the realization of oneness. This is love. What is God? The eternal one life underneath all the forms of life. What is love? To feel the presence of that one life deep within yourself and within all creatures. To be it. Therefore, all love is the love of God. This is our last section for the day. It's about 2 pages. And then I will finish chapter 8 tomorrow. I promise. I just can't promise what time. It could be early. It could be mid-morning. Who knows? But I'll be here. Love is God willing. Let me preface that because it's not guaranteed that I'm going to wake up in the morning. Tomorrow, I need everybody, y'all. Stop thinking tomorrow is promised. If you make it through the day and you lay your head down at night, ask the universe, ask God, ask the higher being. Thank them. Thank that being for breath and ability. Be mindful and ask the universe, did you do the work that you needed to do? And if not, what yet needs to be done? So that as you sleep, you are downloading a universal message into your unconsciousness sleep body that is giving you the knowledge and the wisdom so that if God anoints it and you wake up, you know how to move. You are in touch. You are mindful and you are aware. Love is not selective, just as the light of the sun is not selective. It goes everywhere, child. It does not make one person special. It is not exclusive. Exclusivity is not the love of God, but the love of ego. However, the intensity with which true love is felt can vary. There may be one person who reflects your love back to you more clearly and more intensely than others. And if that person feels the same towards you, it can be said that you are in a love relationship with him or her. The bond that connects you with that person is the same bond that connects you with the person sitting next to you on a bus, or with a bird, a tree, a flower. Only the degree of intensity which with it is felt differs. I think I told you guys this in a couple videos ago. Now that I am consciously aware, I speak to the universe every chance I get. When I wake up, I speak to the universe. When I walk out the door, I speak to the universe, to the birds and the trees, the grass, the stray cats. I pray for those dogs that are tied up. I woke up this morning and that's why I just came back into my consciousness. Humane Society. I'm like, what's the word? I heard them poor little dogs out there screaming and hollering this morning. Because I think I told you guys, my neighbors keep them tied up 24/7, 365. Rain, snow, sun, no shelter. Them babies just tied up. And they cry. And every time I go out there and speak to the universe and I speak to them 2 houses away, I feel like they hear me. The universe knows that I'm talking to them. And on some way, shape, or form or level, because dogs have really good hearing. They can hear me. At least that's what I tell myself. That sometimes we tell ourselves things that might not necessarily be true. But who knows? Even in an otherwise addictive relationship, there may be moments when something more real shines through, something beyond your mutual addictive needs. These are moments when both your and your partner's mind briefly subside and the pain body is temporarily in a dormant state. This may sometimes happen during physical intimacy, sex, or when you are both witnessing the miracle of childbirth. Some men don't think it's pretty. Or in the presence of death, or when one of you is seriously ill. I'm not going to say that out loud. I had something slick to say, but the universe was like, shut up. Okay, I will be obedient, universe. Anything that renders the mind powerless. When this happens, your being, which is usually buried underneath the mind, becomes revealed, and it is this that makes true communication possible. True communication is communion. I'm going to say that again, because everybody does not know how to communicate. Do you know that some people will hold on to hurt and pain, and they will outwardly love you, but inwardly despise you? I didn't even know that was possible. And the only reason that I didn't know that was possible, because I don't know how to do that. I say what I think. I'm learning how not to say all the things all the time that I think, because everybody can't handle my thoughts sometimes. But I'm not going to outwardly love you and not share with you some things that I think you need to know. That's crazy to me. True communication is communion. The realization of oneness, which is love. Usually this is quickly lost again unless you are able to stay present enough to keep out the mind and its old patterns. As soon as the mind and mind identification return, you are no longer yourself, but a mental image of yourself. And you start playing games and roles again to get your egoic needs met. You are a human mind again, pretending to be a human being, interacting with another mind, playing a drama called love. Although brief glimpses are possible, love cannot flourish unless you are permanently free of mind identification and your presence is intense enough to have dissolved the pain body. Or you can at least remain present as the watcher. The pain body cannot then take you over and so become destructive love. Relationships as spiritual practice. As the egoic mind of consciousness and all the social, political, and economic structures that is created enter the final stage of collapse, the relationships between men and women reflect the deep state of crises in which humanity now finds itself. As humans, we've become increasingly identified with their mind. Most relationships are not rooted in being, and so turn into a source of pain and become dominated by problems and conflict. Millions are now living alone or as single parents, unable to establish an intimate relationship or unwilling to repeat the insane drama of past relationships. I fall into that second category. I refuse. I just refuse. I guess you could say I refuse to settle, right? I feel like the younger version of myself didn't really I was making conscious and awareness moves, but I wasn't conscious. I've always had a consciousness about myself. I just wasn't fully conscious. I'm not going to act like I was. I now know what my consciousness needs. I now know that I cannot settle for a temporary fix to any aspect of my life. I am so conscious and so aware. And this is something that I've been able to do all my life unconsciously. I know how to be by myself. I know how to disconnect from the need of a relationship. Do I enjoy being in relationships? I do. But I don't need to be in a relationship to be who I am. I don't need that. We were made to be with, I think we are told like women are made to be with men. We are made to procreate for sure. But with all this gender fluidity and stuff, and I'm an educator, so we have to learn how the proper pronouns and all those things. I don't subscribe to the thought that there is somebody for everybody anymore. If there were, there would be an equal number. Let's say we're going to just stick with the male-female relationships. If that were the case, there would be an equal number of women and men on the earth. And it's just not. If it was a man for every woman or a woman for every man, we would all find that other person like that. That's just not true anymore. I used to believe that there's somebody for me. It might not be. Girl, you might go out of here by yourself. And there's no flaw attached to it. It just could be the way that the world is supposed to be for me. Some people get to be in relationships for 20, 30, 40 years. Beautiful relationships. That is not my experience. And that's okay. Some people get to be in relationships for 20, 30, 40 years and they are toxic AF. That's not my experience either. I got myself out of toxicity, baby. When I grew up, we were told we had to stay. You made a vow before God. You can't break that vow before God. No, God. You got to stay. Grandmother stayed with husbands that cheated. Your great-great-grand knew that Shirley was down the street. And Shirley had 4 of his kids too. But she stayed with the great-great-granddaddy. Because that was just the way of the world. We are in a different realm. We are in a different era. But just like then, everybody ain't going to get married. Everybody ain't supposed to be. Some things are. All women will not have children. Like it just is what it is. That is part of accepting reality for what it is. And stop trying to make statistics and all this other stuff. Well, this is why women ain't with men, and this is why you're gonna die alone. Man, damn them statistics. This is the way of the world. From historical times to present times. Others go from one relationship to another, from one pleasure and pain cycle to another, in search of the elusive goal of fulfillment through a union with the opposite energy polarity. Still, others compromise and continue to be together in a dysfunctional relationship in which negativity prevails. That's literally what I was just saying. For the sake of the children or security, through force of habit, fear of being alone, or some other mutually beneficial arrangement, or even through the unconscious addiction to the excitement of emotional drama and pain. However, every crisis represents not only danger, true crime, child, snapped. Not only danger, but also opportunity. If relationships energize and magnify egoic mind patterns and activate the pain body as they do at this time, why not accept this fact rather than try to escape from it? Why not cooperate with it instead of avoiding relationships or continuing to pursue the phantom of an ideal partner as an answer to your problems or a means of feeling fulfilled? The opportunity that is concealed within every crisis does not manifest until all the facts of any given situation are acknowledged and fully accepted. As long as you deny them, as long as you try to escape from them or wish that things were different, the window of opportunity does not open up and you remain trapped inside that situation, which will remain the same or deteriorate further. With the acknowledgement and acceptance of the facts also comes a degree of freedom from them. For example, when you know there is disharmony and you hold that knowing, through your knowing, a new factor has come in, and the disharmony cannot remain unchanged. When you know you are not at peace, what your girl tell you? What I told you, I told my son? Protect your peace. When you know you are not at peace, your knowing creates a still space that surrounds your non-peace in a loving and tender embrace, and then transmutes your non-peace into peace. As far as inner transformation is concerned, there is nothing you can do about it. You cannot transform yourself, and you certainly cannot transform your partner or anybody else. All you can do is create a space for transformation to happen, for grace and love to enter. I am going to stop there. We are mid chapter 8. We have about, we have 1, 7, 8, got about 9 pages to go. I will tune in tomorrow morning, God willing. I will be here. We will finish chapter 8. I thank you all for being here. I want you to have a blessed day. If you are live or if you are watching this on repeat, thank you so much. You could have been anywhere, but you are here with your girl, Organized Chaos. With that said, I'm going to let you all listen to Philip Brandon Gilmore one more time. What are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to sacrifice? I love y'all. Have a blessed day. Mwah.
Instagram. You're seeing all the A's on the report card. You didn't see the sacrifices that was made. Remember when Sin told you that the price of success is sacrifice. You cannot escape sacrifice. From spirituality to carnality, sacrifice is a necessity. You're going to have to sacrifice. You want that bitch? Sacrifice. Want that mansion? Sacrifice. You want them cars? Sacrifice. You want that jewelry? Sacrifice. You want that clout? Sacrifice. You want that body? Sacrifice. Even in God, you want that anointing? Sacrifice. You want to preach like that? Sacrifice. You want to be knowledgeable like that? Sacrifice. Whatever life you live, you cannot escape sacrifice.